Hi, it's Matt. I'm going to attempt to carve this pumpkin while answering your questions. And the reason for the pumpkin? Well, it's approaching Halloween. I haven't done this since I was a child. And I thought I would do a Q&A with a mixture of this is going to be really difficult to do both at the same time. I'm going to attempt to do a mixture of Halloween and normal questions. First, I want to get into this. I did buy this a few days ago, and you might see here, it's gone a bit icky quicker than expected. Oh, and I don't like pumpkin as well, and I can smell it. So the reason I was going to ask some Halloween questions is, I'm a Brit. I'm in my mid-30s. Halloween wasn't really a thing when I was little. Like, it existed, but not to the extent that America does it, where everyone goes out and trick-or-treats. Oh, I forgot how icky these are inside. I got a bowl to put all the crap in as well. The UK in the early to mid-90s, where I was from anyway, didn't really do Halloween. I hadn't even heard of trick-or-treating till I was at uni. And yeah, I knew it was a thing. It was never something I celebrated. So I asked on my Twitter and Instagram for what I should do for Halloween. What do you do for Halloween? And I also asked for any other questions, because I've had quite a few questions on Twitter, Insta, YouTube comments recently, and it's a lot easier to answer them all in one go, because I can't answer them all, unfortunately, because I'm so popular. Oh, that is disgusting. I could have done anything else. I could have gone full vlogger and just sat on my bed to do the video. But no, I'll carve out the pumpkin. The other day I was watching Rowan Ellis's recent Q&A video. I'd already planned to do this before I watched that. And she was baking a cake to celebrate her 100,000 subscribers. Well done. And doing a Q&A. And it was obvious from watching her that it's so hard trying to answer questions and do something at the same time. So I was watching that thinking, yeah, maybe this pumpkin idea is not gonna work so well. And at this point, I haven't answered any questions because I've realised I've got very pumpkin-y hands. I don't want to get pumpkin over my iPad. Oh, this stinks. I wonder if that's because it's gone off, or just because I don't like pumpkin. I asked if I was the odd one out, or if other people around my age in the UK hadn't really seen Halloween as a big thing up until more recently. And looking through my Instagram, I can see several people here who are in their 20s and 30s who just didn't have it as a thing. So what are people's suggestions for what I should do with Halloween? Sit in the house with all the lights off and hope no one rings the doorbell. I mean, that sounds like when I'm going to bed, I turn the lights off, and I always hope no one rings the doorbell at night. There are lots of suggestions for watching horror movies and curling up all cozy with a hot chocolate to do so, which isn't my cup of tea. I prefer comedy or crappy action films. Right, so let's put a face on this. Where am I going? I'm just going to go for the standard 2 triangles for eyes, I think. Now, if I'd have thought about this a bit more, I'd have put a camera facing this way so you could see what I was doing. I think cutting towards myself is a little bit too dangerous. Trick-or-treating's not really a thing I've ever understood. Obviously, I've never done it, but from what I can tell, it's teenagers going around other people's houses begging for sweets. I don't see the point in it, because like there's no lesson in that. There's nothing to learn from it. And I realise not everything has to be a lesson, but it doesn't sound fun to me going around random people's houses and asking strangers for stuff and just assuming they'll give them to you because it's that day of the year. But please let me know in the comments, because I might have it wrong. That might be why I don't understand it, or maybe that is it, and it's just weird. I've got 2 eyes. Another reason that Halloween might not be such a big thing for older people in the UK is that it's right next to Guy Fawkes night, bonfire night. For those of you who don't know what that is, on the 5th of November in that year, a bloke called Guy Fawkes and his mates tried to blow up Parliament using gunpowder. I can't remember the reasons why, but every 5th of November I was going to say commemorate that by having bonfires and fireworks, which I suppose is a very sarcastic thing. I don't know where the thing came from, but I suppose, like, I don't know, the 14th of July in France, or is it 4th of July in America, where you will have loads of fireworks for a national thing. I think that's probably our closest equivalent, and because that's only, 5 days after Halloween, that was always the big kind of event. I can remember carving pumpkins and then putting them out on bonfire night in the past. But it wasn't for Halloween. Okay, let's see if I can get a nose. This is really thick. I'm either going to have to make holes or dig really deep to be able to get the light to show through this, I think. Or embed some LEDs in it, but that sounds like way too much effort for 10:30 on a Sunday evening. Yes, I have procrastinated all day instead of making this video. But I have to make it today because this pumpkin's going off and I want it out of my house. Okay, some other questions that aren't Halloween related. One of them there from Vicky. How long does it take to clean the soft serve machine? It depends what I've been putting in it. It's about half an hour, I think. Minimum. Because I have to flush through whatever remains of whatever I've poured in it and been serving from it. And then I run through a load of water to clear out the residue and melt what's left in it. Then I have to take it apart and then soak it and scrub it and sterilise it. So, yeah, minimum half an hour, maybe an hour. It depends how dirty it got or how frozen it got. Sometimes, with some of the more tricky things I've put in it, like lemonade and wine, not together, it just sticks solid and it's frozen, so I have to wait for it to melt before I can do that, so that adds another hour on top. Her Divine Shadow asks, what's my favourite soft serve video? Possibly Mayo, not just because it was the first, because I thought it would come out looking exactly like ice cream, and it really did. And it is so unnerving to see something that looks like it's going to be tasty and it come out not being tasty. Ask Berglund says, what made you start Will It Soft Serve? Was it just an excuse to get a soft serve machine? It was a joke in a pub. I'd been drinking a slushy thing, and I was just sat facing the machine, and I could see it doing its spinning. And we were talking about silly things you could put in it, and then I realised, just a sec, that works the same as an ice cream machine. You could put whatever you want in ice cream, and then we went off on a tangent for a bit about that, and I thought, actually, this is the fact that we're talking about this half an hour later means it's funny enough to try. Generally, if an idea is funny enough to make me laugh about it for ages, then I'll probably do it. And it's that reasoning that brought my Freddie Mercury thermometer to the world. I'll link that up here. And Emojily as well. That was a thing that Tom and I were both laughing loads about. I feel like I've been doing more pumpkining than I've been doing questioning. Let's go through a load more questions. Over to Twitter. Celestial Weasel asks, what's the most of any of the ice cream you've produced that you've eaten? Have you done any for a second time? I haven't used the machine at all recreationally, apart from the few weeks after I bought it. That smells horrible. I really don't like pumpkin. I bought it in the summer of 2019 and I used it for several weekends. I had friends come around and I made actual proper ice cream with it. But other than that, I haven't really used it for anything other than making these videos because it's a faff. It takes ages to set it up and get it running through it. If it's in a shop, then it's designed to be in such a way that it can be left on overnight, keeping it all sanitary and ready to go the next morning. You only have to clean it every so often. But as I'm using it once a week maximum, then it's just too much faff to bother using. Oh, we've got several tech diff questions here. Ross Parker says, do you think a Zoom to these people are lying would work? Not really. There are two reasons why we haven't done anything with the technical difficulties since COVID. Number one is especially with two of these people are lying, but with everything that we do, we do it so much based on eye contact that we, I don't know, throw to each other or tell if the other's lying or trying to work out if they're making things up. And with Zoom or whatever other remote meeting software we could use, there's always a delay. You don't get proper eye contact with anyone, which makes that so much harder. And it's harder to tell if your jokes are landing if you haven't got the direct feedback from it. And the other reason is we would be basically making a poor effort of two of these people are lying rather than making two of these people are lying. Like it would not come together anywhere near as well as it does when filmed normally. If we had thought of another format we could do using remote stuff, then yes, we would have done it, but we haven't thought of anything that was funny. We're not going to do it in person until it is safe and responsible to do so. Okay, there are rules here and there sometimes and sometimes not for being able to be in other people's houses, but it involves us sitting reasonably close to each other, facing each other, talking at each other, and breathing in each other's directions and laughing loudly. It creates a situation where it makes it so easy for us to transmit the virus between any of us that it's just not safe to do so. And we're all at different corners of the country, as we've mentioned before. So there's nothing now. It might return when we're allowed to be in the same space at the same time safely. We will still do things together. We're still friends. I just haven't seen them in this long because of COVID. Roseanne asks, are you and Tom also friends in private? Yes, that's how we know each other. We're friends from university. Part of the reason we stopped doing the park bench, and for those of you asking, no, it's not coming back, is that we were doing more work than we were doing friends, if that makes sense. The other reason we stopped doing park bench was we couldn't be arsed. We originally said that when we started it that it might only last a few months. The fact that it lasted, 2.5, 3 years is amazing, really. This is what I've got so far. Got 2 eyes, a nose, and I'm cutting into the mouth right now. Abroid asks, are you interested in audio stuff as a hobby? For example, audiophile equipment and stuff like that, or do you not give a damn? Hobby-wise, the tech I like is, YouTube's my hobby. What I'm doing right now, this is my hobby. So I'm doing some audio for it. I'm wearing a mic, I've done some cameras, I've got some lights. So yes, in that way, audiophile-wise, with like the pro hi-fi stuff, I don't believe in it in the slightest. It seems like it's a world of very expensive stuff that is just there to fleece people who don't know quite enough. For example, HDMI cables for connecting your TV or your monitor, you'll see them go for 35 quid for one that's 1.5 meters long in a shop. And it'll tout about being gold-plated and this and that. Gold-plated makes no difference to the digital signals. It's got error correction built in. It's ones and zeros. As long as it's contacting, that'll do. And you should never pay more than a couple of quid for them. Anyway, that's a tangent. Conno, what's your favourite Beat Saber map? I've got a video actually of me playing it. It is Through the Fire and Flames. It's one of the community-made maps rather than ones that's built into the game. So it involves kind of hacking the game to do it, and I haven't played it for a while. I haven't played it for a year at least, so it might not even be possible to play it anymore, especially since they've released the store. But it is super fast and super difficult, but it's good fun. For those of you who haven't played it, Beat Saber is a rhythm game, kind of like Guitar Hero or Rock Band or that kind of thing. It's in VR, you can get it on everything VR. You're holding lightsabers and you have to swipe them through blocks which are coming at you in the time to the music. It's really good fun, and it's a surprisingly energetic workout as well for, it's just a game. Shadow Laura, what have you been doing in the free time that lockdown and less social gatherings gave you? A lot of work. It's been very busy for me, both with my work at Global, trying to get as many people broadcasting from home as we did at the beginning of lockdown, and maintaining their broadcast setups took quite a lot of effort. But yeah, we set up 65 different home working setups between March and the middle of April for all of our presenters to be able to continue working. So that kept the whole team very busy, and maintaining that throughout. And I don't know, there's just a lot of extra stress and mental burden with all of this going on. So I haven't accomplished anything extra. But I did start Will It Soft Serve at the beginning of all of this. So I suppose that's what I've achieved, really. Was that what the question was? Yeah, so it hasn't really given me any free time because I've still worked full-time throughout all of it. I just haven't been outside. That's where I've got so far. Let's hope the camera doesn't run out of battery. Let's see if I can plug it in. God, I've been recording this for 45 minutes now. Let's bash through a load of questions. Loads of questions about unladen swallows and woodchucks. Are you working on any new projects to be unveiled soon or in the future? I've got a couple of video ideas which just don't work with distancing. One which I was about to start in March. One of them I thought I'd found a way to do it a few months ago, and it still didn't seem responsible to do. But if all of this calms down, hopefully I'll be able to do them in a while. I realise that's a bit cryptic, but... How many countries have you visited? Which was the most interesting? From Joel on Twitter. I've been very fortunate to visit quite a lot. A lot of them were thanks to YouTube and the opportunities I've got through that, helping Tom film some of his videos and stuff like that. Estonia was gorgeous. I don't think I'd have ever gone there otherwise. Canada I went to on holiday. I went to Toronto and up into the countryside, an hour or two's drive north of there for a bit. I think there was a place called Huntsville that I drove through, and that was all gorgeous. I like Scandinavia and that kind of area, which kind of Estonia fits in. Toronto seemed to have the similar kind of thing going on. It's pine trees and snow that I like. The other one is Puerto Rico. I went with Tom to film at the Arecibo radio telescope, which I've always wanted to go there and see that in person since GoldenEye, and then learning what it did and all of the science that it was doing. And it's just, I like a big structure. I like a bit of infrastructure, and it just looks cool. And it's one of those things that you're never actually going to be able to see because it's some telescope thing. It's not a tourist zone. But we were invited over there to film a video, and we got to walk around on top of it, which is amazing. They haven't had the best year. There's been some damage to the structure, so I wish them all the best, and I hope they get it back up and running soon so then they can do all of the great research work that they've been doing there. Evan, how come I'm balding and you seem to still be increasingly haired? Is it related to thinking happy thoughts? I don't know if there's anything sciencey behind the happy thought stuff, but the sciencey thing I thought I'd heard about hair loss is it goes via the men on your mum's side of the family. I think I've heard that before. My granddad, my mum's dad, granddad, he still had hair in his 80s, 90s, however old he was. My dad still has hair, so I still have hair. I assume that's how genetic works. All the old people in my family still have hair. Interesting one here from Dave Lindsay. Hi Matt, as you're both technical and creative, I'd be interested to hear your approach to learning. When it comes to learning, I can only learn stuff if I have an application for it, if that makes sense. For example, computer skills. I've been interested in 3D printing and modelling stuff. And I've had a look at it, but I won't get ingrained in learning it until I have a use for it. So unless I've got an outcome, I'm not going to learn it. So I've always been interested in developing apps. I'm mentioning Emojily again, it's way from the past, but we had a stupid idea for an app. And when we had that idea, I'd never made an app before. I thought that's something I'd like to have a go at. And at that point, because I had an outcome that I wanted to achieve, that's how I learnt to do it, if that makes sense. It's the same with languages. I learnt French at school, so I can still remember bits of that. I never really use it, but if I'm in France or a French-speaking country for a few days, it does seem to start coming back pretty quickly. But I'd love to be able to speak other languages, like Arabic. I know the Arabic alphabet, and I can read an Arabic menu because those are the Arabic words I know. I've got Arab family. Other than that, because I've never really had any use for it, I haven't managed to go any further. While I was at uni, I had some Arabic night classes, but no, I don't have the enthusiasm unless I've got the a reason. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's what you meant by the question, but part of my day job involves training. We show the people who are going to be using our studios and equipment how to use it. And through that and reading up about it, you realise that lots of different people have different learning styles. So I know I'm I can't remember any of the actual terms for it. I'm a hands-on kind of person. So if someone explains a thing to me, I have to do it myself and have a go to be able to learn it and remember it. Whereas other people stand and watch someone explain how it works in theory and then they've got it. They can do it. Or some people take lots of notes and write lots of things down. So specific learning styles can differ between people. So if you're trying to learn lots of things, that's a good thing to try and work out what learning style you've got, because it'll make it easier for you to learn things. So then you're doing the right kind of thing. For example, if you're in a training session or trying to learn a thing. If you're a person that learns by writing things down and you haven't been writing things down, realising that can prompt you to and help you out. I'm not much of a reader really, so if there's anything very paragraphy, then it just doesn't go in. It has to be bullet points or hand waving for me, which is what I do best with explaining things as well. I was actually quite proud of myself for being able to do the COVID video last month because it was a very wordy thing, and I'm dyslexic. I have problems with lexical recall, coming up thinking of the words that I want to say. I have the concept in my mind, but I can't say them. So the fact that I managed to actually get something like that out pleased me. Okay, I think I've done the majority of it. I've done a lot of the scooping out as well. It looks like a face, even on camera as well. Let's see any more questions I've got. How long do you think you will keep Will It Soft Serve going? There's the fine line of how bored I'm getting of it versus how much other people are appreciating it. If it's one of those things where it keeps growing and more people are liking it, more and more people are watching it or subscribing to it, then I'll probably keep going longer than if it was to stay as it is right now, because while I do still find it funny, it's still a faff. And creates a massive mess of my kitchen. It takes up too much room in my flat. It's got its downsides for me because it's there all week. It's this big. Oops, careful. It might not last it into next year. Saxophone boy, what's your favourite dinosaur? There's a film, Meet the Robinsons. There is a dinosaur in that very briefly in the middle. That is my favourite dinosaur. It's a Disney film, you should watch it, it's great. I haven't seen it in years, I still hope it's great, but it was great when I watched it, I'm sure it's still great. Do you miss the reverse trivia? I don't miss doing the videos as much as I do seeing my friends, because that's part of it. We film when we're together, but we don't spend all of our time filming. That's why you only get however many episodes, because some of our time we just spend pissing about as friends, and the other time we spend filming. When you were in high school, did you have a clue to what field you wanted to study or work in? No idea. I knew I liked technology and music. So I did music technology. I'd done bits and bobs of live sound and recording and stuff at school, but I hadn't realised that that could be a career. And even throughout my degree at university, I was doing student radio on the side. I was being a broadcast engineer, but I hadn't considered until my final year of uni that that could be a career. It was kind of a moment of, wait, people get paid for what I'm doing right now for free? For fun? Ooh! Why were you eating gluten-free in the Internet Decide My Day in Manchester video? Because I'm gluten intolerant. And fun fact, for someone with an ice cream channel, I'm lactose intolerant as well. I don't eat dairy and I don't eat gluten, but I've still been doing the videos. It's not like I'm eating actual normal ice cream, is it? Besides guitar, do you play any other instruments? Drums. I have grade 6 in piano, but that's from 15 years ago at least. So I'm not good at anything. It's the same thing as I was saying earlier about learning. I don't have the goal. I don't have a reason to do it. So I fiddle around. I don't regularly practice, but I have collected the instruments I like over the years. So I've got a cheapy MIDI keyboard. I've got a couple of guitars. I've got a bass that I never touch. I've got a drum kit, which I haven't touched in way too long, but I keep meaning to. I've had my electric drum kit for about 15 years now. So I like playing them, but just for a bit of fun rather than for anything studious. Amelie, what's your hair care routine? Wash it, dry it, and I've had lots of questions about how I am and how my mental health is. I'm doing okay. I'm doing well at the moment. COVID hasn't helped. I've been a bit wibbly wobbly throughout it. I've had my ups and downs. So I'm in enough at the moment. That's the thing. There's so much. I don't know. This many candles. I need what? Oops. Bye pictures. So you get for filming a video when it's past bedtime. Oh, what was I saying? I post a lot about mental health on social media because it took me way too long to do any kind of self-care myself, because it's not something that was ever publicised or talked about until very recently. So I don't know. I have a platform. I have you here. You're watching me now. You follow me on social media. The fact that that is happening means I've got a platform, and I want to use it for good, which is why I have done charity fundraisers the last few Christmases, and why I talk about LGBTQIA plus rights on my social medias as well, because there are some bellends. You got to counteract the bellendry you see on the internet with good, and everyone's different, but everyone has worth. Oh, I can fit more candles in here than I thought. Thank you for asking after me. I'm not going to reveal all on the internet. I'm not one of those people who reveals their entire personal life on the internet. And you see that little bit of me that I put on here. I make some things and want to share them with the world, and that's about it. I'm not giving you the whole of me. Okay, so it's candle lighting time. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see these particularly well with the lights on, but I'll sort that in a minute. Let's see if I can light them. Oh, it's singeing the hairs on the back of my hand. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 candles in here. And where's the lid? Right, let's turn the lights off. Well, there we go. Okay, now I'm done with the pumpkin. Let's see if there's any final questions. Several people saying they're about my age and Halloween wasn't really a big thing in the UK. We've got some people in Glasgow saying that guising was a thing with a turnip lantern. A few people asking why I spelt Halloween with an apostrophe, because it's short for All Hallows Evening. Hallow apostrophe for the rest of the bit that's missed, I think. I assume everyone's just got bored of the apostrophe and just spelt it without it now. Rob Watts, have you never done apple bobbing? You should apple bob. I can't remember if I've actually done it. Steve O suggests using a bucket of vodka to make it COVID safe. Certainly make it more exciting. If you haven't seen Rob's YouTube channel, Rob Words, you should watch that. If you watched Tom's Language Files videos and enjoyed them, or otherwise like linguistics, or just enjoy the way words work, watch Rob's channel, Rob Words. It's great. Well, I think that's been a very successful spooky evening. I've made a lovely little pumpkin friend here. I've answered some of your questions, so thanks for watching. If you like what I do, hit subscribe and go follow me on the socials. I'm at Matt Gray Yes. I use Twitter, Instagram and TikTok mostly at the moment. But by the time you're watching this in the future, it could have all changed, so who knows? If I spoke about anything that requires a link, the link will be in the description below. And yeah, let me know about what you're going to be doing for Halloween in the comments.